It's certainly true to say that travel broadens the mind. And for anyone undertaking research, the opportunity to explore internationally renowned archives is one not to be missed. The AHRC's International Placement Scheme offers early career researchers, research assistants, and AHRC and ESRC funded PhD students the chance to undertake a research fellowship at the John W Kluge Center, based within the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. With over 151 million items and 10,000 new resources added daily, the Library of Congress gives researchers from all disciplines the opportunity to enhance their studies, while at the same time meeting new people, sharing ideas and broadening their academic careers. To find out just what such placements are like, Dario Salo, a Kugi Center postdoctoral fellow and former AHRC IPS fellow, along with AHRC research fellows Lydia Morgan, Kirsty Day and Rebecca Wright, have been sharing their own experiences of what it's like to work at the biggest library in the world.
In my first year, it didn't seem like it was a very realistic opportunity, actually, because I hadn't got far enough into my project to really know what I was doing and to actually be able to identify which resources I would need in the Library of Congress. And then I think when it came to my second year, it felt natural because I now know what my project was and I could kind of target various archives. And I realised that there was a lot more in the library that was relevant.
I think for some people, and I was one of them, even before I had received the initial AHRC funding for the doctorate, I already knew my archive was here at the Library of Congress, so I'd actually put that into my original proposal, not knowing that there was this Library of Congress award. And so when the email came one day, it was like a godsend.
I went along on the open day and was just pretty much sold by the idea of being in one library and having everything that I needed in one place, and also the sort of scholarly kind of networking experiences as well.
I always had a sort of regret that my entire project is UK focused and that would restrict me in terms of being able to go off and do something different. Because I always find going somewhere else is such a great way to reinvigorate your research and kind of get your mind into different ways of thinking, like, so distance is a useful thing.
So going to the open day, it was kind of like, well, why wouldn't you? Because it was just such a good opportunity. And then the other was there were quite a lot of archives that I was interested in the library. Because my project spans kind of Anglo-American stuff, it was a really good time to come and actually engage with the American side.
My background wasn't in American studies, and so I wasn't really sure whether it would be the best place for me to go and take 3 months out of my degree. But then I went to the open day and I did some of my own research about the Library of Congress's collections and found out that it was actually going to be a really great resource because they have a lot of, I work on Eastern Europe, they have a lot of material in various Eastern European languages and medieval languages like Latin. So yeah, it's perfect for me, and don't be put off if your topic isn't in American studies.
After considering the timing of their application and overcoming any problems regarding their teaching commitments, the group found they had complete support from their supervisors.
Once I'd explained to them about what the scheme was and why it would be useful for me to go, my supervisors were very supportive. And they're rigorous, but that's just the nature of them, and I'd much prefer them to be that than anything else. There's no way that any supervisor could say that it would be a detriment to your studies to come and do this scheme.
One of the easiest things that we can do now is actually keep in contact with each other. Me and my supervisor, we email and Skype calls, so it's very easy to maintain a focus on whatever work we are planning to do. And so even though there are 3,000 miles between us, it's as if I'm down the road, so there is no problem with distance.
With those distances in mind, of course, it can still feel like a long way from home. However, the welcome the researchers received and the subsequent support given to them meant they were able to settle in quickly and start their research without delay. Mary Lou Rika oversees the Fellowships Programme at the Library of Congress Kluge Center.
Ordinarily, we've sent them to a class that's held every Monday by the folks in the main reading room, and they provide this for all researchers who come to the library. Recently, we've gotten one particular person who gives an exceptionally good class to come directly to the Kluge Center and do that class at the beginning of each month for every new group that comes to the Kugi Center. So Tom Mann, who's written the Oxford Guide to Research, comes to the Kugi Center and he gives a guided tour of the library's resources and walks people through the opportunities that are available for them in light of the particular subject they're studying.
The Tom Mann talk was fantastic. I found before I came, I made up a bibliography of all the things that I needed to find, and it was quite rigid and circumscribed, but I tried out a few of the tips that he gave us and found a load of things that I hadn't looked at or thought about before that have been really useful. So it's definitely a really good talk.
Once introduced to the library and its workings, new arrivals at the Kluge Center can expect continued support as they pursue their research, with facilities close to hand, including the internet and their own Library of Congress email address, a space to work from, and of course access to millions of research items.
The Kugi Center is located in one of 3 buildings on Capitol Hill that pertain to the Library of Congress. And when you come in there in the morning, you go upstairs and you go to your cubicle. And the cubicle has a computer and a telephone and lots of desk space, drawers you can lock and keep your personal items in. And then it's got bookshelves around there too that can hold literally hundreds of books. And you're allowed to take at any one time somewhere in the range of about 250 books that you can actually have in your cubicle.
One of the other benefits of being at the Library of Congress is, of course, access to the special collections, which, for obvious reasons, cannot be brought to the cubicles, but you can go down one of the many corridors and find your way to the reading rooms, which are dotted around the many buildings. And without too much effort, you can order whichever manuscript or book that you're searching for, and it can be delivered within 15-20 minutes. It's absolutely wonderful. One day I was in the performing arts room looking through something, and I overheard a person behind me who had ordered a Mozart manuscript, which arrived, and I of course got up and had a look at that just for the sake of it. It was there. And as you leave the Library of Congress in the evenings, you walk past the display cabinets in the hallway, and there's a Gutenberg Bible just sitting there waiting to be observed. And that really sums up the atmosphere and the depth of materials that are present at the Library of Congress.
As well as this remarkable wealth of archival resources, the interdisciplinary nature of the centre means there's a chance to network with researchers from other fields of interest, providing an opportunity to share thinking and ideas beyond departments back in the UK.
My programme back in England is a cultural studies programme, and it has a very strong focus on interdisciplinarity. But saying that, it's really nice for me actually to come and see people in really specific disciplines and to different historical fields, and it's really nice to speak to people in political science or find out really how other people are doing their PhD and how that's different from your experience.
Amongst this atmosphere of networking, there are also benefits to having expert staff close by, from giving practical advice on where to find items to helping to get those items to your workstation in good time.
One of the things I found really great is having a space to work in and having the opportunity to take a large amount of library books and have them in one place, and for example to be able to order all the books of one person and have them on a shelf has changed my life, because rather than having to carry them around different libraries, or from the British Library you can only take 8 books, 6 books out at a time, but being able to have like the whole collection and to be able to cross-reference, have them in my grasp has really helped kind of see through material that it would be difficult for me to see through otherwise. And the canteen's really good.
And while we're thinking about such things, let's not forget the social life.
I think the social life over here is too good because it is distracting me from my PhD, which I really need to write. And when I came to DC, I was like, great, this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to be able to get away from all my distractions in London. I'll be able to, not know many people, which means I'll be able to study really hard, not feel guilty about not going to certain events. No, not the case. So that is probably, DC is a lot of fun, and I like it a lot.
Given all their experience, the group has plenty of ideas on offer to help anyone wanting to follow in their footsteps, from exploring the Library of Congress online catalogues to persevering with the application process itself.
I think my advice to potential candidates would be to speak to as many people as possible about your application in your own institution, in the AHRC, and get as many people as possible to read through your application, because everybody will have their own point of perspective or contact that they may have had with the way how things work in the AHRC and how that can be really beneficial.
Something that I found really useful was looking at the different pages of the different subject libraries. So for instance, the Eastern European collections were really useful for me just to kind of get a sense of what they kind of had there. And there's definitely something for everyone, even if you're a medievalist working in Eastern Europe, so don't be scared to go and just investigate everything.
My advice for candidates would be certainly to go visit the website loc.gov and to examine the different departments that the library has and the sections. And the website will also let you find information about the librarians who are working in each division, and these people are professional experts and are very, very knowledgeable, and often they publish books in the field, in the music division or the folk life division, and these people will be delighted to help you with your research, and they're certainly a good source of information.
My advice would be probably don't get put off by the form or the application itself, because I think as PhD students we're constantly bombarded with forms or application, and it's kind of, you get used to kind of having kind of a formophobia, like fear of filling in forms. And it seems like when you're researching, you really want to do research, putting into these separate funding applications is quite time consuming, but I would recommend kind of persevering and just doing the form. I don't know.
So whether it's the academic rewards or the chance to experience life in America's capital city, ultimately the time spent at the Library of Congress will be an unforgettable one, benefiting not only your current research, but also your future career.
It would just look so excellent as a line on your CV, being able to say Library of Congress Fellow. That just sounds prestigious.
I think it just gives you confidence in being a researcher in a way, and this is part of what we have to do when we leave our PhD, apply for postdoctoral fellowships, and it's part of kind of getting used to going to different libraries, getting used to using archives, getting used to going into different research environments, and I think that's really valuable.
And finally, while the benefits to AHRC researchers are pretty clear, Mary Lou Rika sees important benefits of the International Placement Scheme to the Library of Congress itself.
The library's interest is in having the collections used, and the collections of the Library of Congress are truly extraordinary. They're there, they're available, they're a well of human knowledge. And the librarians that are there want to get that knowledge out and have those materials used by people all over the world. And it's good international exchange. It's a wonderful way to keep peace.